You don't know, one of my broadcasting mentors was Mean Gene.
Oh, Mean Gene.
And I'm serious. Knew him well.
Great guy.
I had those little, onside kick.
And look at this. Can the Cougs steal one? Well, they say they did. And they do. So, Washington State steals a possession. How hard it's become in football to execute the onside kick at the end of a game. This may be the one way you can do it. It's unexpected.
Very unexpected. Both of us were talking about NXT wrestling and Mean Gene, and he does a great job. Watch him. He just kicks on the top of the football. It perfectly goes the distance, and they all surround it and make sure it goes 10 yards before they touch it.
There's so many parts of that. Janikowski, by the way, and I referenced what a great role he's had this year because, of course, he's had to punt all year as well as place kick. And look, he's the biggest kick of the year for the Cougs was his 52-yarder that
sent
the San Jose State game into overtime. And, of course, on that play, as you saw, perfectly kicked by Janikowski, but, of course, nobody can touch the ball and nobody can block by rule until the ball's gone 10 yards.
Did you notice how they all turned their backs?
Yep.
So there would never be any kind of distinction that they were blocking either. It was just,
exactly,
you know, blocking somebody out essentially. And great job by the Cougs to get another possession.
Yep. Nobody on the kick team, again, is allowed to block by rule until the ball has traveled 10 yards and is eligible to be recovered. So that's a rule that is probably pretty tough on officials to see in real time, especially if you're not expecting. And I'm wondering if we're going to get a challenge here. Nate Dreiling.
Utah State, they want to challenge whether the ball went 10 yards.
Wow.
And was
well,
recovered
as
by the
rare
kicking
as
team.
the second quarter onside kick is, here's an even rarer play in college football. This rule's been in place for a long time, and it's never used. Coaches in college football are given one challenge per game. They never use it.
You know why they never use it? It's because they looked at that play right there. The officials, the review crew looked at the play, and they decided it was fine. It was legal. Now to have it reviewed, all they're going to do is look at exactly what they just looked at. That's the biggest thing here.
And so what I don't know is the basis of the challenge. Can you challenge whether a block, and like, for example, there you see 43 for Washington State. Does he hit a player before the ball's gone 10 yards? I'm not sure if that's what can be reviewed. That's why we have Michael Mothershed with us as well for these sorts of explanations.
And Ryan, I'm looking at this, and the key thing is, and you and Ryan were right on, the ball has to go at least 10 yards. And so the key thing here is that there is a block by one of the players, but the receiving team player is not in a passive posture. So he kind of blocks, trying to protect himself. So I don't see this being overturned at this point. And it looks like the ball has gone 10 yards. However, we don't have a camera that looks right down the receiving team, restraining line.
So, Michael, help us all and help me understand. Now, can review whether the block was hit, which would be a penalty, right? And there was no penalty called on the play. Can review
right, there's no penalty called on the play. So replay can take a look at the block to see if the kicking team player blocked before they were eligible to touch the ball, which means that the ball hadn't gone 10 yards.
Okay.
And I look at number 14 on the receiving team.
Exactly.
He's not in a passive posture.
But he does initiate contact too. They both do. I mean, one guy.
Right. They both, and that's you said the key thing. They both are blocking.
Yeah.
And that's I don't see this being overturned.
And to my Michael, we don't see this often because it was reviewed essentially to make sure it went 10 yards. So that if they saw anything different, they probably would have made a decision beforehand if the review wasn't then asked by the Utah State head football coach. Is that why we don't see as many reviews from coaches in college football?
Well, I think replay has reviewed it, and they didn't see anything like an illegal block.
Right.
So, therefore, they didn't stop the game.
All right, we'll hear from John Love
After review, number 15 of the kicking team did block before the ball went 10 yards. That is an illegal block. Kicking team, number 15. It's a 5-yard penalty.
All right, so that answered the question I was asking Michael right there, is that they can look for that and therefore declare that basically an illegal kick, and will be a re-kick here, I assume.
I don't think so.
No.
It'll be like just a penalty on, so wherever the ball was played, received, then a 5-yard penalty moving it forward. 15-yard, 10-yard penalty, maybe. All
right, so you're right. Utah State's offense is on the field. So that by Nate Dreiling, the interim head coach, the youngest. Nate Dreiling, that's an outstanding use of this rarely used rule about challenging.
Well done.
Here's a guy, Nate Dreiling, who's an interim coach who just got the job at Utah State in July. It was the most unfortunate set of circumstances that we don't really have the time to dive into it here. But